For consumer companies world over. Unilever, PepsiCo, Diageo, L'Oreal all saw changes in the corner office. In India, HUL, Nestle, Britannia saw leadership changes as the FMCG industry transformed into a high-stakes battleground. Shilpa reports the message to FMCG CEOs from the boardroom is simple: perform or perish.
The corner offices at many FMCG firms saw new occupants through 2025. From Hindustan Unilever and Britannia in India to Nestle, Unilever to PepsiCo globally, 2025 had some of the biggest consumer giants seeing one of the most dramatic waves of C-suite churn in over a decade. Let's start at home. HUL, India's largest FMCG company, saw CEO Rohit Jawa step down barely 2 years in the top job. His exit came after muted sales, flat volumes and investor pushback on the revival pace. Priya Nair, who served as the president of beauty and well-being at Unilever globally and has over 30 years of experience, has since taken charge and set HUL on a path that focuses on volumes to rekindle growth. Then there's Britannia. CEO Rajneet Kohli resigned in March and moved to HUL. He was replaced at Britannia by Rakshit Hargave, who was the CEO of Birla Opus. But then came the real shocker. Long-time MD Varun Berry abruptly announced his exit in November, with even his notice period being waived off. Markets reacted instantly, the stock slid over 5%, and all eyes are now on incoming chief Rakshit Hargave to steady the ship. There were also planned changes at Nestle India. That was a planned retirement. Manish Tiwari, who was heading Amazon India, has stepped in to replace Suresh Narayanan, who has been at the helm for a decade. Narayanan successfully steered Nestle through its biggest crisis, the Maggi ban. And then he focused on innovation and diversified Nestle's portfolio with expansion into categories like breakfast cereals, pet food, and more. Tiwari is now banking on digital growth, innovation and a consumer-centric strategy to get the FMCG giant accelerating on the next leg of growth. L'Oreal India and Diageo India also saw leadership changes. Overall, 2025 have been a tough year for the FMCG industry in India, which struggled with rising inflation, muted performance, slowing urban demand. While income tax cuts, GST rates changes and cooling inflation towards the end of the year, providing some relief, signs of recovery have begun to show. But the challenge is to keep the ship steady at the time of choppy waters on the global geopolitical and trade front as well. Now, while leadership changes in India were due to a mix of muted performance and planned transitions, the churn in the global FMCG landscape has been a lot more dramatic. Let's start with Nestle Global. Now, the company saw 3 CEOs change in less than 14 months. In August 2024, Mark Schneider was replaced with Laurent Freshy as Nestle CEO to rev up the company's performance. But Freshy was ousted less than a year later over an undisclosed personal relationship, and Philippe Navratil was then appointed CEO. Nestle's then chairman, Paul Bulcke, too, first announced that he would retire in 2026, a year earlier than his scheduled retirement. But then he exited even earlier in September this year, and Pablo Ayala has taken over from the 1st of October. All against the backdrop of the company's worst growth in 2 decades, with volumes being flat or even declining and sales shrinking as well, and the boardroom losing patience quickly. Unilever also threw a curveball. CEO Heinz Schumacher was out in less than 2 years, and the company was looking to turn around, but the board wanted faster change, and they handed over the reins to CFO Fernando Fernandez, who has now taken over as the CEO. Diageo also has multiple faces that have occupied the corner office through 2025. In the middle of a multi-year cost-cutting reset, it saw CEO Deborah Crew step down. Nick Jangiani took over as interim chief, and now the firm is looking forward to welcoming Sir Dave Lewis as its new CEO in 2026, tasked with turning around the maker of Johnnie Walker, which has been plagued with declining sales and high debt. Even Coke and PepsiCo are both pivoting as they struggle to swallow weak beverage demand worldwide. Henry K. Brown, who worked at Coke in various leadership roles for 30 years, is now set to take over as the next CEO from March. Rival Pepsi is also in the throes of reorganization. It has elevated its North America CEO to a newly created EVP and Vice Chairman role, and it has appointed new CEOs, one for North America and one for Latin America Foods. And it soon also unveiled a new plan to accelerate sales and also improve margins. Now, in the global FMCG space, there's a clear pattern to the cause of this churn. Sluggish volumes, discretionary slowdown, rising competition, rising input costs, and geopolitical uncertainty. But most of it all, investor impatience. Boards and investors no longer want 5-year or 10-year plans. They want visible action, and they want it fast. 2025 has seen the FMCG world transform from slow, steady and predictable to high-stakes, high-pressure battleground where even industry veterans can be shown the door if numbers don't impress. In today's FMCG boardrooms, the message is brutally simple: deliver growth or move aside.
Well, 2025 turning out to be a year of churn for the FMCG sector. Will 2026 beckon better days? With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Rewind 2025. Here's wishing all of our viewers a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Keep watching CNBC TV18. We promise to keep you updated on everything that matters to you. Stay with us. We're back after this break.